Guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in this video we're going to be talking about Joker Folie Deux. The review embargo for the movie has now finally lifted and the critics have begun compiling their reviews online. So the breakdown for this video, we're going to go over to comicbookmovie.com, have a quick read about the details and information surrounding this movie. We're going to then go over to Rotten Tomatoes, check out the score for this movie and check out what the critics have to say about it as well. I'm very curious as to see what people are going to be saying about this movie. That first movie gained around about 60% on Rotten Tomatoes, I believe, but it went on to generate over $1 billion worldwide at the global box office and was a smash hit, and that's why they decided to make a second one. But anyway, guys, that's enough of me talking. Let's hop into this article, then let's check out those critic reviews on Rotten Tomatoes after. So, Joker Folie Deux has the last laugh with an updated fresh score on Rotten Tomatoes. So it does now have a fresh score, which is great to hear. So, the review embargo for Joker Folie Deux lifted yesterday, and it was clear the critics were mixed on the DC sequel. Several hours later, a Rotten Tomatoes score had generated 59%. That put the movie in the rotten territory, and left it with a dreaded green splat. It's not as if 2019's Joker was a critical darling at 69%, so the first movie did get 69%, which still isn't a bad score whatsoever. But this still came as a blow given the hype surrounding the musical follow-up starring Lady Gaga. As you can see below, much has been said about its 12-minute standing ovation in Venice. Yeah, 12-minute standing ovation, that's crazy. Why would you need to stand for 12 minutes and clap a movie? I've never really understood that. Now though, there's been a small change, as with a total of 43 reviews counted, it's risen to a fresh 60%. How long will it take to maintain this is unclear, and what we expect at least a couple of hundred more verdicts to be added to the current total in the weeks ahead. Despite Joker's mixed reviews, it still received mainstream award attention and won Joaquin Phoenix an Oscar. It also grossed over $1 billion at the box office, though that was pre-pandemic. Yeah, so the first movie generated over $1 billion. It won Joaquin Phoenix the Oscar. So there's no, misunderstandings as to why they came back to do a sequel here. I mean, it makes sense. Everything is there for them to, hopefully repeat the success of the first movie. But anyway, guys, with that down, let's go over to Rotten Tomatoes, let's check out the tomato meter, then let's check out the critic score after that. So, landing over here, we have 60% tomato meter from 43 reviews. So, Joker Folie Deux finds Arthur Fleck institutionalized at Arkham, awaiting trial for the crimes as the Joker. While struggling with his dual identity, Arthur not only stumbles upon true love, but also finds the music that's always been inside him. So yeah, one of the major things I was skeptical about when I first heard it was the fact that this was going to be a musical, and I was just like, what? That seems so weird. A Joker R-rated movie that's going to be a musical. And it's kind of like, doesn't make a lot of sense, but I guess within the context of the movie it will do. So let's go over and check out the critic reviews. So what we're going to do, we're going to check out the top critic reviews here, guys. So let's go down. So starting off here from Time Out, we're left with the tragedy of a broken man in a world only interested in sensationalism. It's a big swing for all involved, but all the better for it. And the score was 4 out of 5 on that one. So, from Little White Lies, it begs the question, why is Phillips so reluctant to embrace that the film is a musical? Why not add a little more colour, some flourish to the production design? Phillips is the director, by the way. Why is Phillips so reluctant to embrace the film as a musical? So it sounds like even though it's being touted as a musical, maybe they shy away from it a little bit. So there is some musical numbers, but maybe it's downplayed to some degree. So from Screen International, where the original Joker remains a stunning exception, that rare blockbuster with emotional shading, grown-up themes, and genuine sense of grandeur, the sequel fails to stay on the beat. So saying that the sequel doesn't live up to the grandeur of the first movie, which is a shame to hear. So from the Financial Times, Joker still has a trick up its sleeve, even a serious subtext. The best moment comes late on in the incendiary scene. Not sure what that means. Don't know what the incendiary scene is. I hate saying that word. I don't know how to say it properly. But I'm sure we'll understand more when a movie comes out. So that score was 3 out of 5, by the way. So from the Daily Telegraph here in the UK, Folie Deux can't quite match its predecessor for dizzying impact, but it matches it for horrible tinderbox tension. It's a film you might that might burst into flames at any given moment. That's exactly what I'm kind of looking for from this movie, like the tension more than anything else. I want to see, like, on the edge of your seat, like you don't know what's going to happen, full of tension, kind of like worried about something's going to go crazy. Like, that's kind of what I'm looking for within the movie. So I'm glad that that review kind of talks about the tension, which is, like I say, what I'm looking for. So from Vanity Fair, it's startlingly dull, pointless, procedural that seems to disdain its audience. That's a pretty strong negative review right there. It's startlingly dull, pointless procedural that seems to disdain its audience. Wow. I never thought I would have seen a review like that for, for this Joker movie. So, from IndieWire, Folie Deux simply tap dances in place for the majority of its listless runtime, stringing together a series of underwhelming musical numbers that are either too on the nose or too vaguely related to its characters to express anything at all. So it sounds like the musical numbers, they don't really kind of go into much detail, and it doesn't add anything to the story. The musical numbers are kind of keeping close to the chest. They kind of talk, like, they're kind of about the characters, but don't really express anything of, like, anything new. Basically, it doesn't have anything new to say, the musical numbers. So from the BBC, depending on how you look at it, this demi-theology, I don't know how to say that word, oh my god, depending on how you look at it, this exercise is either a daring or irritatingly smug, but it's definitely not much fun. That's definitely not good to hear whatsoever. It's not fun. I mean, obviously, part of the reason you go to the theatre to watch a movie is because it's fun. Whether it's sad, whether it's exciting, whether it's action-packed, whether it's a mystery, there's some fun to be had within the movie either way. And the fact here that it says that there's no fun to be had, that's kind of worrying to me. So from Empire Magazine, as sweet and beguiling as a musical romance as it's possible to have between two murderous psychopaths, its kooky approach won't suit all stripes of comic book fans, but it finds a strange, tragic hopefulness all of its own. And that score was 4 out of 5. So this person actually really liked it. Sweet and beguiling musical romance is possible to have for two murdering psychopaths. I kind of like that. A kooky approach, it won't suit all stripes of comic book fans. So yeah, they're going for a very kind of, it's a very kind of niche that they're going for here. The very psychological kind of horror, thriller, on the edge of your seat tension. It doesn't appeal to everybody, and I get that. It's a very kind of grounded approach to the Joker character, and there are going to be people that, are just turned off to this kind of approach to the character, so I get that. So from the Hollywood Reporter, Gaga is a compelling live wire presence, splitting the difference between affinity and obsession, while endearingly giving Arthur a shot. Their musical numbers, both duets and solos, have vitality that the more often dour film desperately needs. More often dour film. So again, they're saying it's boring, that it's not fun. Dour film. So their musical numbers, both duets and solos, have vitality that the more often dour film desperately needs. So it's sounding like that the musical numbers kind of breathe some life into the dullness that is this movie. So I'm beginning to worry about this movie. There's been a few reviews here now that are saying that it's, it's lacking the fun, that it's dull, that it's kind of a bit boring, and that the musical numbers are kind of the only thing here that maybe breathes life into this sequel. So, Irish Times, languors abound. Wow, there's people using these words that I can't pronounce here. The denouement hits story beats that ought to wrap up Act 1. The film flounders between genres. It's a musical, a prison movie, and mostly a plodding courtroom drama. So, yeah, again, people saying that it's boring. It flounders between genres, musical, prison movie, and a plodding courtroom drama. From the London Evening Standard, despite its fascinating and complex main character, the film is ultimately dull and plodding, taking us nowhere slowly. Oh, wow. So people are just continually saying that this movie is dull and boring, and it's not what I expected whatsoever. From the Times, Phillips and co. smashed back into a self-contained world, shook all the contents out on the carpet, and had another go. The result, messy, lifeless, derivative, and exactly what you expect from a film that simply doesn't want or need to exist. So it sounds like here, if this is true, if it is dull, lifeless, and boring, then maybe they made a mistake here with making a sequel to that Joker movie. Though it ends up as strident, laborious, and often flat out tedious as the first film, there's an improvement. Overall, that was from The Guardian, and that was 3 out of 5. From The Independent, overall, Folie Deux is just as edgy and disturbing as its forerunner. That's great to hear. replicating the idea for modern American cities as terrifying powder kegs, perpetually on the cusp of explosion. 4 out of 5. That sounds great. The idea of modern American cities as terrifying powder kegs perpetually on the cusp of explosion. Well, I mean, we have a lot of that in real life anyway. So, I mean, going to the theater and seeing that, you know, it's not really escaping real life all that much. So we've got 2 more here from the wrap. It's sad, pensive, and impressively odd motion picture that uses theatrical of movie musicals to undermine its heroes' ambitions instead of elevating them. So that's kind of weird, because that's a positive review, but it sounds negative. The movie musicals that undermine its heroes' ambitions instead of elevating them. Okay. And then we have, finally, from New York Magazine, Joker Folie Deux is Arthur's movie, and Arthur just isn't that interesting. Despite how much effort Phoenix puts into rendering the character in exquisitely anguished mental and sunken-chested physical detail. So yeah, he really portrays the characters. He does this method acting where he like really dives into the characters. But it sounds like here that it's a boring, bland, there's not much to this movie, that is stale. There's a lot of reviews here that really just aren't finding this movie that interesting. They're finding it boring, not good. And yeah, this is a lot more mixed than what I expected this movie to be. I'm not sure why. I expected this movie to be around the 80-90%, but I guess I forgot that the first movie only achieved the 69% Rotten Tomatoes review itself. So yeah, guys, with those reviews down, what do you think about them? Does it get you more interested for the movie? Does it get you less interested for the movie? Or do you kind of remain the same as before you read these reviews? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down into the comment section and let me know. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.